That's what I say. But Jimi Grande of the Association for Mutual Insurance Companies says, no, we need the federal program. We just should reform it. Why do we need it?
John, I'll tell you, there's no question that the current National Flood Insurance Program is in a sorry mess today. And the fact that folks like you are able to buy heavily subsidized insurance to rebuild beach homes is an absolute mess and not okay. But when it comes to the flood peril, it's unique because of the concentration of the risk. You have so many people all in the same floodplain who all get damaged at the same time. And that risk is also correlated in a way that you don't find in risk when you're talking about like an auto accident or a fire in your home.
So what? Then insurance companies would charge more for that. And insurance companies are national companies. There's not a flood all over America at once.
You know what? You're right, John. And what we'd like to have is a free market to operate in. We're not allowed to charge what we'd like to charge. However, when it comes to flood insurance, prior to 1965 or 68, when they began the program, we had no flood insurance in America, and because the pricing was so high, people chose not to get it. And then you know what happened? Your federal government bailed them out and paid all of it. So the idea behind the program was
reckless, and they acted like parasites then. We're going to create a program that helps more of them act like parasites. I mean, since then, many more people have built in risky places.
You're right. The incentive is perverse, but if you want to stop the parasitic behavior, what you need to do is reimagine your government, because what we have right now is you can
That's what we do on this show. We try to reimagine our government.
Well, you could save, there's a good case to be made, John, that by having a well-functioning national flood insurance program, you would save taxpayers money. Because we know, and you know, members of Congress, after a disaster, stand lock in arms, singing Kumbaya, we're going to fix it, we're going to pay everybody, put your hands out and we'll give you money. So if we could get insurance into their hands and price it accurately, that's where the program doesn't work, John. If they price it accurately and the rate matches the risk, you wouldn't have a problem like we have today.
True, and I would argue that only the private market could price anything accurately because they compete and have their own money in the line. It's true that after the last disaster and the insurance program was $20 billion in the red, the Bigger Waters Flood Insurance Reform Act passed, and that was supposed to phase out the subsidies over a 5-year period. But they didn't stick with that.
They didn't stick with it because they're chicken. Your average member of Congress will almost always put good politics over good policy. And when you say the private sector can set rates accurately, you bet we can. And you know who else can? The actuaries at FEMA. They know how to set the rates properly. You know who won't let them? Your elected officials in Congress are the ones that won't let them. They can either explain to somebody, listen, you should pay what it costs for this insurance policy, or we should move your house a little higher up the hillside. And instead they say, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make sure they don't charge you any more money, and we're going to hold your rates down. And they artificially suppress the rates because it makes good politics, and they get reelected.
And that's what happened last year when Congress debated phasing out these subsidies. I expect the Democrats and fools in the media to oppose that, and of course they did.
The National Flood Insurance Program is an important program that should transcend politics.
You can always count on MSNBC to support bigger government, but I was surprised that Republicans supported it too.
Will you vote in favor of the $61 billion Sandy aid bill today?
Yes, I will. We do need, this is the National Flood Insurance Program. It is something promised by the federal government.
A shutdown of flood insurance, even a temporary one, would do tremendous damage to our struggling economy and our nation's fragile housing market.
More money, more free stuff, more parasites.
The cowardice with which, and the appalling nature in which Congress acted, it makes sense when you tell them, shouldn't rate match risk? Isn't that fair? And they all said yes, and they all voted for it. And then as soon as they went home and had 2 knocks on their door saying, oh, look at my rates are going up, they quickly ran back out and they undid the reform. I mean, you are right in the sense of it is incredibly disheartening, parasitic, and apparently there's more fools in Washington than you even imagined.
Yeah, they do always manage to amaze me. Thank you, Jimmy. Coming up.